Well, good morning, everybody. Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead. Today is Christmas Day. I'm shooting Porch Time on Christmas Day because we got a, believe it or not, this whole next week is just, we have a lot going on. And it's going to be almost impossible for me to shoot Porch Time during the week. So I decided to take Christmas Day and do it. Now I'm over at the cabin. Trying to get a little bit of a fire going in here, guys. You know, a lot of people laugh at me and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about when you talk about the temperature. Now, I'm inside my cabin. I'm going to show you something. It's 23 outside right now. This is the temperature inside my cabin. 36 degrees in here. It's chilly, and me and Miss Wanda wanted to be able to spend Christmas Day over here at the cabin. So I told her, I said, it's just now getting daylight. I told her, I said, I'm gonna go over in the early part and get a fire started so that we'll have it warmed up a little bit because it's 23 outside. Luckily, no wind's blowing. It's calm. The wind chill factor I looked was 23, so it's 23 and 23. I love it. I wanted to try to get a good bed of coals going here so that today we could be a little comfortable in the cabin because we haven't been over here in a week or two, and it's been that extreme cold temperatures in here and everything, and we winterized it so that we didn't have to worry about nothing freezing and busting over here to take care of that. But guys, I can't give you an update just yet on anything going on in the gardens outside. Onions, garlics, high tunnels, trees. I can't give you an update yet. So guys, I told y'all on the live stream the other night, I'll give you a little tip about Porch Time. My picture came back, awesome. I told you we was gonna start, the subject was gonna be start doing and stop talking, because it seems like everything that I'm seeing, people are just talking, and it's time to stop talking and start doing. People wonder why they don't get more from the Lord than what they get, and why the Lord don't do more for them than what He's doing. And you ever stop to think about, it might be just because you're not doing anything? I mean, doing is faith. There's a lot in the Bible. I'm putting on my gloves here because my hands are kind of cold. The Bible has a lot to say about faith and works, and faith ain't no good unless you put it to foot. Faith is useless unless you put some foot power behind it. So I want to talk a little bit about start doing and stop talking. Now, guys, I want to, this Porch Time is going to be a little bit different because I want to talk about some things that's in the past that I've talked about, and I want to talk about some things up to date. I kind of want to recap the year. Now, it's not my last Porch Time of the year. Well, I guess it might be the last Porch Time of the year. I don't have another Tuesday this year. So this will probably be my last Porch Time. But way a while back, I talked about a dream and a vision I had back in the 80s. I put that dream and vision over on Patreon. And I can't tell you the name of it because we name them different things, and it's way back there. If you wanted to scroll through it, you'd be able to find it where it's me sitting on a red chair on my pier down at the pond down there when I'm telling the story. And I'm not going to go through the story again. But guys, in this vision or dream that the Lord gave me, He showed me things that was coming in this country. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I was a minister at that time, and man, I was like all excited. I'm like, Lord, I got to tell people, and I was in the pulpits, and I was telling people what was coming in America. You know, the cities that were going to experience trouble that God showed me, the things that were going to burn, and all this kind of stuff. I was telling them, and people was getting all excited with me, and people's lives were being changed, but it didn't happen right then. And people, after a year or two, kind of lost interest. And they said, well, I thought this was going to happen. And I said, well, God showed me this is going to happen. And I began to pray. I said, Lord, you told me these things were going to happen. You showed them to me. And he said, son, it was for you. It wasn't for all of them. Timing was wrong to tell people. And in order for the Lord to stop me, he actually pulled me out of the ministry, because I kept telling people. It broke my heart. And I wanted people to get ready. But the Lord literally pulled me out of the ministry to stop me. Because, you see, with God, everything is about timing. You can go out and tell somebody something's going to happen, but if you tell them too far in advance, then they lose interest. They're like, well, nothing has happened. It's been years and nothing has happened. And they just blow you off to the side and they say, well, it's not going to happen. And they go on their merry ways. We kind of see this after 9/11 took place. You know, 9/11, man, the church united. I mean, the country united. Everybody's back, you know, doing church. And, I mean, people was getting together. They were doing all kind of things. And man, people were just all excited and everything. And then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of years after 9/11, everything just went back to, you know, to being what it was. And people lost the faith. They lost the interest about patriotism. They lost all this kind of stuff. And then look at the mess we're in today, you know. So we see that this happens over and over and over throughout history. And I can give you some examples. You know, people have burnouts. It happens to us on YouTube. We have burnouts. Wanda and I, we make so many videos, and when you sit behind a computer 8 and 10 hours a day, and you're behind cameras hours a day, you're trying to get something done, and you want it, and normally you can just run out there and do it, but when you're having to shoot a video and do it, it takes twice as long to set up cameras, set up all the different positions, and, you know, your B-rolls, all this kind of stuff, and audio, and wind directions, and how do you want to shoot this angle, how you want to shoot that angle, and all this kind of stuff. That takes a lot of time. And then you've got to sit back and you've got to edit all of it and put it all together. Because lots of times you got multiple cameras running, trying to get specific shots in so that it looks decent anyway. Wanda and I was kind of getting away from a lot of that. I'm just going to be honest with you. And you can probably tell it in our videos because they're not as professional, and we just have made our mind up. It is just will be what it is. We're not going to worry about nitpicking little things. We're not going to worry about if our hair is just right, or if Wanda's, you know, hands are perfectly clean, or mine, or our clothes are a certain way. We're just going to live. You know, you're not going to see fancy stuff done with us. You're going to just see who we are. And I feel like that's more realistic about what's going on. You know, I mean, it's like me sitting here now. I'm all bundled up because it's 37 degrees in here, and I got a fire going, hoping to warm it up a little bit. We're only at 38 now, and I got it sitting right beside the fireplace right here. So it's not warming up real fast because I can't turn the blower on, because if I do, you'll hear it in the camera really bad. But after this is over, I'll turn the blower on, because maybe by then I'll have a better cold. But, you know, I was just sitting here thinking some things I could relate to you all, and kind of to show you what I'm talking about. Let's take Y2K for instance. Y2K, remember year 2000? all the computers were going to collapse, this was going to happen, that was going to happen, everything was going to go wacko, and man, people were freaking out. And you know, I bought generators, I hooked them up to the house and all that kind of stuff, and back then, you know, I was somewhat of a party animal, and you know, we had people all over that night. We figured, man, something. When I say party animal, I don't mean the kind of party maybe you're thinking about. I was thinking about, you know, just good family time, or family time, just friends and all over, to watch the world go down. You know, we thought this is exciting. We're gonna all be together when it does, and we stayed up till midnight, and it hit me at midnight. I said, you know what? I said, if the world was going to collapse, then the other side of the world's a day ahead of us. It would have already happened over there if it was going to happen. I told everybody, I said, this is a bunch of bull. And it ended up being, it was just a big scare tactic. And then after that, you know, people kind of lost interest, and lots of people had prepped. Boy, I mean, people had prepped up. My mom and them had prepped up. Lots of people had prepped. I had prepped, and people lost interest, and they're like, well, another false flag, you know, nothing really happened. And then here comes the Maya calendar, 2012. And boy, everybody's preparing again. It's the end of the world, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And, no, the world didn't end. You know, and all the things in my dream had not come to fruition from the 1980s. I was like, Lord, what was the real meaning of this dreams and these visions? And he said, son, it was for you. To give you time to prepare, to get out of debt, to get your life in order, because it don't happen overnight. It takes years and years of planning. You don't just do it overnight. He said, son, this was for you. Now there's coming a time it's going to be for everybody else. But right now, these past 15, 20 years, it's been for you, to get you ready for what's coming. Of course, I thanked him tremendously. And then, after we started doing YouTube, I said, Lord, why am I on YouTube? What's my reason for YouTube? And he told me, not long after we started, he said, it's time to tell everybody else so they can prepare. And guys, since 2015, Wanda and I have tried our best to tell you guys about the economy, the condition of the world, what we're going to be facing, what's going to happen, as much as we can, and not lose our channel. And some of it's fell on good ears. You know, some of it's fell on deaf ears. We've been doing this for years because we didn't want to wait till the end. God said, don't wait till the end to tell them. Start telling them now. Last year, y'all heard me say in a video, God told me, I don't have to talk about it anymore if I don't want to. He said, you've done what I asked you to do. If they hadn't believed by now, then they're not going to believe. He said, but if you want to continue, there may be a few who still want to hear. You don't have to, but if you want to, I will permit it and I will bless you. And guys, that's where I've been. I've still this past year tried to tell and tried to put out as much stuff as I could. Have I been scoffed? Yes. I've gotten tons of emails, laughing, carrying on. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't care. Really, I don't. Because I'm going to be taken care of. And if people want to laugh, that's fine. Because God told me in the beginning it was for me, actually. And when the time is right, I'll tell you when it's for everybody else. And when he opened up YouTube, see, YouTube was my avenue to tell people for years and years and to show them how to be successful at surviving. Now, will I survive? I don't know. But if I don't, I haven't lost anything because I've lived a good life. And that's my way of looking at it. I've been obedient. All I want to do is hear in the end, well done, my good and faithful servant. And that's what each and every one of us, that should be our goal, is to hear that in life. Now, you know, a lot of people, Wanda was included in this. Now, I never did get that involved in it. I did get somewhat involved in it, but God began to tell people years ago, back in the 90s, about our school system and how that it wasn't good, and how that we needed to be homeschooling our kids, and literally, Wanda homeschooled her kids all their lives. I know tons of people who have homeschooled their kids all their lives. Now, I pulled my kids out of public school and put them in a Christian school for many, many years to get them some foundation, and then I allowed them to go back to public school because that's where most of his friends went, and to be able to graduate with their friends. And I've not had any problem with my kids since. I mean, they've been good kids. And they know right from wrong. They're very successful children. But that was another way of God warning his people to come out from among them and be separate. Take our kids out of that system and put them into his system. Teach them at home. Teach them the true values of life. And guys, many of you do that. Now, many of you don't, because you fell prey to the system just like I did in the beginning. And you ended up with notes and mortgages and things like this. We ended up with debt that it was very, very difficult to get out from under. But because God warned me of what was coming, I was able to spend years of my life dedicating it to doing nothing but getting out of debt. And y'all have heard my stories, and no trips, no vacations, no goodies, no soft drinks, no going out to eat, no soda pops, you know, none of this kind of stuff. Every dime. Driving old raggedy vehicles, you know, doing whatever I had to do, working 16 hours a day, 6 and 7 days a week to pay myself out of debt, so that, you know, for times like these. And I still believe that, it's valid to live this lifestyle. You know, homesteading is a lifestyle that, it's a very rewarding lifestyle. It's a very difficult lifestyle. Yeah, right now, if you have the money, it's a lot easier to run to a grocery store and grab up what you need and run back home and, you know, every week and buy you groceries and stuff like that. But it's not sustainable. Homesteading, we don't do that. We don't run to the grocery store and buy our groceries every week. We raise our own food. Is it cheaper? No. Is it healthier? Yes. Is it more rewarding? Yes. Does it teach us basic skills of life that will help us when everything collapses? Yes. Is it fun? No. You know, I'm sitting here in an off-grid cabin. Could I have the power hooked up to this cabin? Definitely. They could run a line right out here. I pre-wired it to hook to the grid. If I ever decided one day, in our older age, we wanted to sell it, people may not want an off-grid cabin, so they can run the power up and hook it to the outside out here, and you can unhook the generator, hook the power into it, and voila! The cabin's got electricity, it's got lights, I mean, it can have heat, all that stuff. But I don't have it set up that way. I have it off grid because I want to know what it's like. I lived this life when I was a kid. I want to know what or where the loopholes is now that I'm older. How can I make it work where I have a place, if electricity goes off, that will function? My big house, we call it, it's not going to be sustainable if the power goes off. Now I have a wood heater in it, and yes, it will heat most of the house. But in the summertime, it is excruciatingly hot in there, and the humidity just destroys that house because of the way it's designed and built. The cabin over here, on the other hand, can take the humidity. It can take the cold. I have a fireplace over here. I have everything I need. This blower system runs off of a battery pack here that can be solar charged and everything, which I have. I can be sustainable at the cabin. So guys, start doing and stop talking about doing. As a matter of fact, it's probably too late to do much now, unless you're very, very wealthy. It would be very hard now to start from scratch. And I'm not trying to sound like a bah humbugger, but it would be very, very difficult to start from scratch at this point and be really sustainable unless you've got a lot of money to do it with. So guys, I got to get some more wood to go on the fire here before it burns down, and get me a good bed of coals and get this blower going. I'm telling you, I've been sitting here this whole time. I want to show you. It still hasn't made it to 40 degrees in here. And I've had this sitting right beside the fireplace here. So, in order for me to be able to get this cabin warmed up where me and Wanda can come over here and enjoy ourselves in a little while, plus I got to go feed animals. I got to get some more wood on the fire. And guys, please start doing and stop talking. Thank you guys from Deepsouth Homestead.